Hey guys, welcome back to the Kampai Sugai podcast. What's up, you hammers? Welcome back. All right, so on today's episode, we got one of my good friends, who's I guess one of my childhood friends, right? Elementary school.
Yes.
We're all grown up now. Actually, you look the same,
You look the same too.
which is kind of funny, actually. we look. It's funny because if we went in the yearbooks, we would look.
I know.
We look very similar.
Yeah, you look the same, Gavin. It's just we're like,
thing.
like you just add water and you make us bigger. Like,
Oh,
I feel like
I
that's what
see.
it is.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like my hair got a little bit longer, but
right, and then I grew a mustache, sort of.
I think you just got a little bit taller. Just
Yeah, that's
like
true, a little bit
a
taller.
little bit taller.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I just want to introduce one of my childhood friends who is a traveler influencer, right? Or is it traveling
Yeah.
influencer?
I guess so. I tend to island hop time and time again.
Mm-hmm. We will talk about that more, but let me introduce to you guys Miss Amber Durante.
Hey. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, what made you want to go into like social media content creation?
I feel like social media is actually like a great platform or a great tool to have to spread awareness, also to make connections, networking, of course. But I guess I used it as an outlet. Excuse me. I used it as an outlet to when I first started, I was doing a lot of content in regards to what is that? Depression or mental health awareness kind of a deal. But then I would travel a lot to Maui, well, mostly inner island, but Maui, Big Island, Kauai, Molokai. So I kind of used those things in there, my little clips from my trips, to use either as a background or if I met certain people, different people and their stories, I would kind of utilize social media that way. But that's how I kind of got into it, with just spreading awareness, I guess. Yeah.
So before we even reconnected, which was like very recent, I'd say, because of shout out to Hawaii creators.
Yeah.
You talked about mental health awareness, right, as your platform before, or
Yeah.
you started off as. So what was that? Why mental health awareness specifically?
So I think at a time in my 20s, we are no longer in our 20s. Wow. But
Yep, true.
I was going through, I have like chronic depression, and I was going through an episode a long time ago. And I never really had the right coping skills and things like that, because nowadays it doesn't happen as often, because now I have the skills, tools, resources, community, support. But back then I chose to go that route because I felt like I'm not the only person that in this world that has to feel like this. So I thought that I could use something that's dark for me to try and help somebody else that's in a dark place, to try and help them out with letting them know that this is just a phase or a season. And after these few days or this episode, it'll be okay, and you'll be able to get through it. Because most times that whoever experiences these things, they feel like it's just like a black rabbit hole and they're not going to crawl out from it. But I wanted to kind of use that to help me cope and to help somebody else with trying to get out of that hole and that rut.
So for those people that maybe you've messaged or reached out to you for like mental health, I guess, advice, do they still connect with you today?
Oh, yeah. Like, I feel like my base, or I guess my following, has grown a lot. And a lot of it is mainly with people that can relate to all of those things. I feel like mental health, domestic violence, depression, all of those things are not talked about as often, but they're very real and very present in our society, I feel like. So the lucky ones don't have to experience it all the time, but nowadays with my platform growing and all of the cool things, exciting things, and networking that allows me to have all these opportunities, because of all of this, I feel like more and more people, I guess there's exposure, so more and more people are finding me, and I'm not afraid to talk about these things. And so if some people are afraid to, not afraid, but just like they're not really the ones to speak out. If I can give some advice, even if they're like just listening, whatever way I can help, I try to. Yeah. So that's my little snippet.
Right. You're just being a resource for them to express themselves, talk about what they're going through, struggles, situations they've experienced in the past. Yeah.
Yeah. And then definitely making it more like, letting them know that it's not to say normal, but it's not, you're not alone. It happens a lot more often than people think, because we don't talk about it, especially on social media. Everybody highlights the highs and, like what everybody wants to show off.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of real dark, gritty things that people don't showcase. They don't want people, they hide it. And then eventually over time, people shut down. So I try to use whatever I went through to let them know that it's normal, or it's not something to hide from. So just so that we can deal with it, so that we don't shut down. And if you do shut down, then you can reach out to me, or there's other resources that sometimes I share so that you don't have to stay there, Yeah.
Do you believe there are enough support groups in Hawaii today to help people? Like, if they wanted to engage with the group, do you think there's enough support groups out there?
I do. I mean, I think that there's a lot of resources out there, but I think the problem is people are either shy, nervous. Like, I have family members that I grew up in a household that supports therapy. My mom, she sometimes uses reverse psychology on us because she's a therapist, I guess. So our household like believes in therapy, whereas I have some family members that like they do not speak of it. Their parents don't necessarily, yeah. So that's why I feel like sometimes some people, if they're brought up with that kind of just like mindset, then maybe they're not open to talking about things and things like that. But so I try to, I don't know, be another resource, but I do think that there are resources out there. I just think that people are either scared to reach out or talk about it because it's something dark. They repress it. They don't want to talk about things like that. Or I feel like a lot of things are very, especially nowadays with our social media, I think that everything is very surface, very superficial. So people don't want to show that like something's wrong at home or something, but in reality, like we're all human. Even like the biggest guy in the gym or the prettiest girl on the runway or anything like that. It doesn't matter what you do for work, what age you are. They don't discriminate. Like depression is depression, So, yeah.
I think too that some of that they don't want to have that kind of attention as well, because like there's gonna be people that maybe empathize and they'll say like, oh, I'm so sorry, like what can we do, and they'll get in their face, and maybe that's not exactly what they need at that moment, but they need to process things through and be able to talk it out, and maybe they just need someone to listen to, or even maybe they just want to be by themselves for a while.
100%.
And they just want someone to just sit with them. Yeah. Even if they don't say anything. You know what I'm saying? So like I think sometimes that's like people, maybe if they go through depression, they just they just don't know how to approach it with others
Yeah.
because it's too complicated. Maybe they don't want to explain it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because like it could be like the tip of the iceberg for something, for a situation, but that stems all the way down, and to unpack all of that, they feel like that's too much energy, so they'd rather just
Brush it off.
yeah.
And keep it in that iceberg. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. So that's why, like, with my content originally, it started with my coping, the way that I coped. Because I felt like if I talked about it, it's not so much for attention. I'm an introvert. I don't like attention. So it's kind of full circle.
Really? Introvert?
Yeah, I know.
I can't believe that.
Wait, can you believe that? Like from when we were little?
Okay, I can imagine that.
Because when we were little, I didn't talk at all. I would say sorry after like every word. So that's why it's like a full circle, because I never liked people. I mean, I was always good with kids. I don't know if you noticed that when we were younger, but I was always like, all the kindergartners used to follow me around and stuff. But
they did.
But I never was a social. I think you were more of a social butterfly than I was.
Really?
You went out when we were in elementary. I think
I
so.
felt pretty reserved.
You were smart. You've always been smart.
I didn't feel smart at sometimes.
Well, I don't know. I feel like Kainalu made some smart kids, but I just, I just wasn't, I don't know. I didn't really, I was more into sports, more into, I guess, studies. I thought boys had cooties forever.
Oh, okay. You still believe that?
Kinda. Yeah. Boys are from what? Jupiter? Boys are still from Jupiter. But, so now that's why it just blows my mind sometimes that I'm like kind of labeled as an influencer, because I get invited to all these things and it's great, but sometimes my social battery drains a lot. But it's also because I trip out, because what started all of this for me was me coping with a lot of these kind of things that gave me anxiety, talking to people, being around people for long periods of time. And then here I am having to go to an event to talk to a bunch of people. So I think it's kind of,
hey, it's Amber, what's up?
Yeah. So I think
Ams.
it's very full circle, but I'm glad that I was able to reconnect with you. And it was so funny because I just remember watching one of your podcasts with Reese.
Oh, okay.
And for me, I was like, I didn't even recognize you, which is funny because like we look the same from elementary. But then when I saw Reese, I was like, hey, I think I know him. And he's like, Reese Paul. And I was like, oh my gosh, I know him. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'm Gavin or something. And I was like, no way. This whole time I've been following you. And I was like, no way. Or then, all the pieces kind of just fell together.
Actually, we all kind of look the same. Like Noelle looks the same.
Yeah.
I
talk to her all the time.
Reese looks the same.
Yep. I talked to Elliot. Have you talked to some of our
Pimentel.
Yes.
I haven't seen Elliot in a long time.
I've seen Elliot recently at one of the concerts. And then Kevin.
Leong.
Yeah, Leong. And Ryan. So all of us were talking about his brother and my brother are like best friends. So so we kind of run into each other sometimes. But we were talking about like all of us getting back together and having a little reunion. But everybody has lives, so
of course.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
and then some people are mainland or they're not here.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get a hold of some people too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But Hawaii is so small. It's just so small. And so like that's another thing too, to see like my classmates, people I grew up with, and like I consider you guys like my family, because that's like Kainalu especially was everybody there is like my brother or sister in my eyes. So to see some of my brothers and sisters like going through like these kind of things, that's what pushed me afterwards once I started to get comfortable with talking about things. Because once I talked and aired out what was going on with me, I felt like it was a lot more easier for me to continuously talk about it, or to, I don't know, just bring it up, because I ripped that Band-Aid off. And once I got comfortable and I started to see these kind of things happening with people that I knew and loved, and, you know, friends, family, then I started to realize that this is kind of like a crisis that, like, I feel like we should be talking more about, because usually if you don't talk about it, then worse things happen. You start to go down like, you know, darker paths, or I had people unfortunately like go down like really
bad,
and there's things that you can't reverse or replace and stuff. So I think if you just like talked about it, or let people know that, like, you know, hey, you can talk to me whenever. We don't even have to talk. We could sit here, just chill. We could talk about like something else.
Yeah.
But just know that, like, you know, you're thought of, you're cared about, you know, you're more than what you think in your head. You're not alone. So those are the things that drove me, I guess, with social media. And then now here I am.
Yeah, you're here in this room. But even, yeah, I agree, you know, with Kainalu, and then even people that I knew, you know, back then, my childhood days, it's weird because, like, seeing them again, like, if they're, like, really successful or they're doing really good, then it's like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just amazed, because it's like, that's so cool, right?
I know. So I'm like even with you, every time I run into one of my siblings, brothers and sisters, I'm so proud. Like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of like everybody, because like we're actually like unsupervised adults.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's what you did with your life. I'm so proud of you. But
I know it's interesting where like people go, you know, in terms of like how their lives branch off. Because I didn't think I was gonna do a podcast.
Yeah.
You know?
I didn't think that Reese was going to be a comedian ever.
Yep, me neither. And I
love
knew
that
him.
for him.
Yeah, me too. And I knew him. You know, we went. He was in high school with me. We graduated the same class as well. You know what I mean? But I never thought that was his trajectory.
Yeah.
But I fully support it.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know?
Same. It was just like, wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let me let you know when I have some, I don't know, family get together. You can be our entertainment.
Yeah. And then even for yourself, like the path that you took as well, even being
a male lady.
Yeah. Well, Reese's as well. But,
I know.
But I mean, like the path that you guys took to be influencers, right?
Oh, yeah.
In your own right.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I was really encouraged.
Yeah.
You know?
When I first got approached, actually, it was actually through Hawaii Creators. So I guess another plug there. But once I started going into that circle, because there's a lot of networking with that, then it really opened my eyes to the tool aspect of social media. Because like before, I thought like this was like a coping thing. Of course, everybody like puts like at that time like what they were eating, and like I guess mainly for me in the beginning was like food.
Okay.
but then after that, like I started but then I started to meet people, and then I started to question like what I'm doing in this group, because everybody in there is very talented. You have a podcast, there's like videographers, models, photographers.
They niche down,
very, very niche, like actors, musicians, and I am none of those, like none. But then,
well, you're very special as well, so you're
but then like it kind of allowed me to like be more creative with things, I guess, because I was trying to find a niche,
an avenue.
Yeah. But then in reality, like I never really focused too much on it, I guess. Like a lot of these people, their careers are based off of their niches, which I love that for them. But like I also have like a 9 to 5,
Me too.
I guess.
Yep.
And and so it was more so an outlet for me compared to like something that was like career driven. But because of that, I felt like I had to be like a little bit more creative or find different things because I just didn't know what I wanted to like kind of fall under. And so I kind of directed all of my energy into like all the just being like, I guess, an advocate for what I believed in, which was mental health awareness and depression, domestic abuse, domestic violence. And so I put all my energy into that. But then now with like all these upcoming things that's been happening with Hawaii, I've been kind of just like putting all my energy into those kind of things. But yeah.
Well, so even speaking about with Maui, right? So do you have family in Maui? Or
I do. So I have 2 sons, and my oldest son lives in Lahaina. So that actually drove me a lot I did a donation drive. And I did a donation drive. I would go up to Maui very often. I had to take a break, like a mental break, because I was shutting down. But I was going up there and delivering supplies straight to the families that have been affected by the fires. We were running supplies on boat, on land. Like, I feel like I was helping people with like air cargo, so any which way. And it was mainly because I felt like I feel like it hits close to home for all of us.
Yeah.
But because like there was a time frame, there was like a few hours where I didn't know where my son was, and I'm here on Oahu. So
yeah, that's scary.
it was very scary. And so like that whole time afterwards, after I went there and I found him and they're fine, which is great. But that's what kind of was driving me the whole time that I was helping the first 3 weeks, because I just felt like if I didn't find my son or things like that, there are people still like missing their loved ones.
Yeah.
And so I could empathize with that. And that's what like really pushed me into like trying to get the things that they needed, or like just being adding or extra hands for them and things like that. But yeah, I think that because I kind of established a awareness, I guess, platform, I wanted to use whatever I could, my small little platform,
to help
to spread more awareness for Maui. Yeah, but I kind of did shut down because there was a lot of stories, a lot of people that I interacted with, just listening to them and seeing so much. Like once you get onto that soil, the air is heavy, like everything is just it's a lot. But yeah.
So how are a lot of the families doing now? Because there was a lot of devastation. I'm sure at the very beginning people were panicking. They were just I don't want to swear, but they were just distraught at the whole situation. And time has passed now. It's been over a month for them to really process things, but I'm sure there's a lot of families that are still processing, and they're really unsure about what the future holds for them.
So now it's still like it is just going to be a very long road to recovery for Lahaina especially. But I feel like the community has gotten stronger, is coming together for each other. But it's still sad to say, like families are still displaced. A lot of them, when I was going, were still living on the beach because they didn't want to leave. So there were other options as far as like the hotels were housing some of the residents because tourism wasn't coming in.
Yeah.
And I think there was like something that Airbnb was trying to set up to help with the displacement.
Yeah.
But a lot of them didn't want to leave because a lot of the places were like the next town over or things like that, and they wanted to be close to Lahaina, like close to their town. So people were camping on the beaches. I saw elderly, I saw children, I saw people like my age, like people a little younger than me. So it was just really, I felt like there was like nothing else that I've ever seen that I could compare it to. And
it was disheartening,
yeah,
to see that.
But it was crazy because I broke down once in Maui, and it was actually because I was sitting with a family, a husband and a wife and their daughter. Their daughter was 18, and the husband and wife, they looked very young, like maybe in their late 40s.
Wow.
And we're talking story for, I want to say, like 3.5 hours about everything. Nothing to do with Lahaina. And we were actually in Kihei. So that's very far from Lahaina. So we're all just talking story, just chilling.
For 3.5 hours.
For 3.5 hours.
Jeez.
And well, because my friend that I was with, that they were all mutual friends.
Okay.
So we're all just talking story. And then like maybe 30 minutes before they had to leave, then like everything came out that they lost their home, their business, their jobs, like everything.
Almost everything.
Yeah. But like they're just so grateful that they have each other because they didn't lose their family, which is a blessing. But from that point, I just remember I just started bawling. Like I just started breaking down like instantly because they had everything together. I would have never known that these people went through all of that and were affected by all of this.
So heavily. Yeah.
Because they were happy. I mean, as happy as they can be, but like they were
Talking
cheerful.
story,
They were, and it was all because they said everything else is replaceable, but this isn't. And they're like looking at each other. And in that moment, I was just like just very surreal. And after that, I think the whole time in Maui, it puts a lot of things into perspective for me. So when I came back, I had like a little mental break, not gonna lie. So my supervisors weren't too happy with me. But then, I mean, like also going postal is a thing. So, but with
what
that,
do you mean they weren't too happy with you? You just called out certain
no. So I was still going to work,
okay.
but my demeanor was completely different because like when I start, everything shifted. Even now, when I look at things, I feel like there's more to life than like this like small little thing.
Yeah,
so
true.
So we're delivering mail, and say I don't know, something happens, something small happens or whatever, and we get like not in trouble, but like we could get talked to about something. So we have everything with the post office is timed. So I have an hour to do
a route
to do this. Yeah.
Oh,
and
okay.
I do this task in an hour and a half. And then like if we get like reprimanded or if we get talked to about that half an hour, like I get it, but then when you put everything into perspective, like these people don't even have jobs. Yeah. So I was coming back to Oahu with like that kind of mindset. Like I just felt like there's so many like big things that are happening outside of this. And so my patience, I think, was like kind of running thin. And so I had to like kind of
totally
adjust.
Understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I kind of had to adjust, and then I needed to take a break. I needed to take a step back because every time I was off of work, every second I had that I wasn't working, basically, I was just throwing myself into Maui. Whether it was like if I was here, I was collaborating or coordinating the donation drive, or I was working with a few organizations for all of those stuff. And so I think I had like too much of myself involved, and it was affecting others around me and things like that. But it's hard, especially for all of us. I feel like that's our culture. We want to help. I feel like locals are very empathetic, like it hits close to home, and we want to do whatever we can to just, I don't know, help out. And so I just had to take a step back from that a little bit.
How did you get yourself through that mental break? Because you were there on Maui maybe like 3 weeks. I'd say maybe, or 3 or more actually.
Yeah.
And getting yourself back into like, okay, here, your life in general.
Yeah. So I was still island hopping, but I was going to Big Island actually.
Okay.
So like my friends helped me a lot with trying to cope and process that on my end. I had to also remind myself that I think my feelings are valid, because if I feel at a point I felt guilty for feeling sad. Like, these people are the ones that actually got affected by it, and they're strong and okay, and or like they're
resilient.
holding themselves together, and here I am, like, not trying to be a pity party, but just like feeling so much. So
You're
it
sorrowful
almost, it almost made me feel guilty, if that makes sense. But I just kind of had to realize that my feelings are valid, or like I'm allowed to feel however I feel. But at the same time, just like depression, you can't stay there. So instead of like staying in this mood, like, what can I do now to help them? And not so much in a physical aspect, but using my platform or doing something positive instead of focusing on what's gone, what's lost. Like, what can we do now? So now that this is all like over, what can we do? Except I had to like kind of take breaks, because like my friends were helping me realize that my balance was off. My life balance and Maui and all of that stuff was off. It can't be that way. So I had to, what kind of regrounded me was my friends, going to another island. I felt like, because again, I like to island hop.
Yeah.
But taking me out of that mental space, I think, helped me kind of get back to reality for me. And then I felt like, as long as you can replenish yourself, then you can help others. And so when I had that mindset, that's when I realized that this is essential for me. If I'm not focusing on that, then that's what I need to do in order to help them. Because if I'm depleted, you can't help anyone if you don't help yourself first.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's heavy when you're going to like, I'll compare it to the Mauna, for instance. So like for me, I made a video for people on Mauna Kea to just because I didn't think news sources were actually covering that story very well, and what people were trying to do up there, and what they were trying to defend. And I didn't stay there that long. I only stayed there for a day just to film, but I also went out and went to different communities and hear different people's stories, and did my own research, and did my own news whatever you call it, coverage, right? And made a video about it. But I totally understand that, because it's like, if I hear a lot of those stories about like people when they're up there for the long haul, right? And they're trying to it's hard to break off of that, because when they come back home to their families and everything, it's like they're depleted already, because they spend so much time and energy into helping, and then when they come home, they're just like, dang, I can't be a good resource for people if I'm just constantly burning myself out.
Yeah. I think the burning out part, for sure. I also think that it's not healthy if it's going to consume your life, and then now your personal life, like,
plummets.
Yeah, your family members, your husband, your wife, your kids, like they start to get this effect from you that you don't even know you're giving off.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think that taking a break or taking a step back is necessary. But like a lot of people, especially now with this crisis, like a lot of people are feeling guilty for that. But I think that it's just very necessary, because if you keep running on empty, if you keep burning yourself out, and if you keep going like that, you start to, I think, unravel, and you start to get like emotionally strained. So like you're on high alert.
Yeah.
You're almost in survival mode because you're so passionate about these certain topics or these certain things, that even the smallest thing, just like how I was saying with my patience running thin, something can like
you
pop.
off.
Yeah, you can pop off for something so small because you're so emotionally drained. But when you like clear your mind and stuff, then you refocus back on the bigger picture, or like the where you can help most, instead of being so emotionally vested.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So-
Because you don't want to be so connected with an issue that where you take your life away, and
it
then
consumes you.
It consumes you, and then when you want to come back to your own life, it's just you look around and you're like, oh, I lost a lot.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, exactly. So like I guess my friends helped me realize those kind of things, because I was so stubborn. I didn't want to step away and things like that.
Understandably, though, yeah.
But when I had my conversations and just surrounding myself with that kind of support system, they helped me realize, like, like all of that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
at the time, if you're not in that mindset, it doesn't make sense. But if you kind of take a breath and you just listen, like really comprehend what, even like what you're saying, it makes sense. So I was very grateful for my support system to kind of reground me, because I would have definitely fell down there, and I was ready to make some irrational decisions. And that's no help to nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a good point for people that maybe are even on Maui right now helping as well. Maybe they might be listening to this thinking the same thing, like, oh,
Yeah.
dang, am I making rational decisions, for because some of them they've dropped everything just to go to Maui, just to help people.
Yeah.
And for, understandably,
cause,
good
yeah.
cause and everything, but what are they?
But after all of this
behind?
passes, yeah, exactly. After all this passes, like, and you come home, like, what are you coming home to? Because your life now is very off balance. You gotta now, try to rebalance your life, and if you're affecting, your home life with your family or things like that, it's gonna be like a long road to repair that as well. And so just like work, I feel like if your work life and personal life go hand in hand, so if one is off, then the other is off. And so same thing with Maui. If personal life and helping with Maui, if that's off, like, then that's not gonna work
It's not
either.
healthy,
Yeah. So that was something I think that a lot of people that are helping are trying to find ways to cope with. I've spoken to a few individuals about that. And I speak to a lot of different organizations and a lot of different people that are living there currently, because, my son's family lives there. I have old coworkers and friends. But then I also have other people that or like organizations, I guess, that I was helping.
You're connected with.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm at a healthy distance right now. I can put myself back into those situations, like when needed, but I'm starting to realize that there's more than I felt like, because I wanted to do as much as I could. I wasn't thinking that there's like thousands of others that are just like me wanting to do all the, so I felt like a lot of it was like falling on my shoulders because I needed to do this. I was talking to so many people and I felt like people were counting on me. And then when I realized like there's a lot of people out here that have the same intentions, that want to help. Yeah. So I don't need to carry all of that by myself. That helped a lot.
And that was the point. I even posted on social media that, like, you know, there's so many nonprofit organizations that want to make something for Maui, or even there's a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, we like, let's go send donations, which is great, you know, but then I think there's a key thing with consolidating and putting together resources and really organizing it to really help out people that are actually suffering right now. Because if we have like maybe 1,000+ different new nonprofits, that's not going to be beneficial to, let's say, maybe someone who already knows what to do with the funds in order to distribute it, or even know what resources to purchase for those shelters already. So like what you're saying, you know, there's so many other people that want to help and they want to figure out a way to help out in some way, when they could just easily just oh, this person's already doing something, they have a system in place, they're already organized, let's just go and support that, and then figure out, you know, what aspect of their what they're doing can I contribute.
100%. I think like that was the thing initially. And that's what why a lot of people were getting burnt out, because people, it's kind of like the chief and Indians kind of thing, but it's kind of like everybody has their ideas of what they want to do or whatnot, and everybody's intentions are good. But if you're trying to do all of that, you're gonna get burnt out, because it's not so much like a team effort now. It's just like you're just thinking about what you can do. Yeah, but if like, you know, 20 of us come together, then you're not gonna get as burnt out as fast and things like that. So I think that's what it was. You can support each other
as well.
Yeah, so that helps with coping with that, I feel like. I think that there's a lot of people right now that are kind of going through those same issues, as far as like there's like survival guilt, also feeling guilty in general, like how I was kind of explaining. But so because of that, a lot of people have kind of came together, kind of like a support group, I guess, and coped with that. So
good.
Yeah, I think that anybody that wants to help with Maui, I would try to recommend like what you're saying, Gavin. There's a lot of organizations that are established already. So,
which ones?
Oh man, there's a lot. So which ones do I help with?
If you want to shout them out. Yeah.
Well, I do a lot of things with 808 Viral, and they're doing I think their nonprofit is 808 Rise.
Yeah.
We're still in the works of it, but we're talking about they were doing some works with Maui Humane Society, because that was a thing with all the loose animals. So they were trying to help, I guess, aid with the animals as well as finding shelters. But now they're trying to provide, I think, childcare services for people that are like trying to go back to work and they don't have anybody to watch their kids and things like that, like kind of like daycare. So they're working on that. We're working on that. We have to discuss more about that.
It's in the works.
It's in the works.
It's in the works.
I don't know. I can get the organizations for you, but my connections are like my friends up there. They work closely with a lot of different organizations to provide exactly support, but exactly what they need. I think there was like air purifiers and like specific things that they're asking for in these different organizations. So I'm not too familiar, but my friends, when we were there, we were working with I don't know, a lot of them. So I do work closely with a lot of organizations, but as far as the ones on Maui, those ones I'm not too familiar with. Yeah, a lot of them that I've been working closely with has been like on Oahu. And it's mainly to kind of just provide support. Right now, I think everybody is like gearing more towards financial support.
Yeah.
But even that to me is kind of not shady, but like questionable because you don't know where it goes and things like that. You know
and how
that
it's getting dispersed.
Right. So you know that it's going to the people and you know that they're going to receive it and stuff, but like because of all those gray areas of like how are they getting it? Who's going to get it? How do you like a lot of people have been very hesitant to donate. Yeah. Yeah, so like I mean the Hawaii Community Foundation is one of them that I've been working with, and I what's that called? Backup, I guess.
Yeah, you support.
Yeah, promote.
Yeah.
And then of course, like you see all of the like Tiare Lawrence and Ilima and all of those larger foundations doing all of those things. So that's where I'm saying like you know that they're going directly to the community. You just don't know how all of that's being, dispersed.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think about Oprah and The Rock, right? Recently, they made I think it was called Lahaina Fire Fund or whatever it's called. I forgot what it was called.
Yeah.
But they made their own nonprofit fund. And this kind of speaks like what I was saying earlier about people creating 1,000 different nonprofits, but they created a nonprofit for money, and they also explain like, oh, we're gonna use these donations to disperse the money to people on Maui.
Yeah.
What do you think about them starting a nonprofit? Because there's pros and cons. Like some pros I can think of is they're bigger names, right? Oprah, The Rock, and they're coming together for something good, supposedly, hopefully. The con is, like I was saying earlier, there's so many organizations already established and easily they could have just said, why don't we go reach out to one of these organizations that are there and that are already collecting donations, and why don't we bring them with us in a video, and let's just have them speak with us and then say, oh, donate to this foundation.
Yeah, like kind of support an already existing local foundation. I actually agree with that. I think both sides. I think that it's great and amazing that these large these large idols, symbols, with their platforms are speaking about this, especially with ties to Hawaii, because Oprah owns a lot of land in Kula on Maui. So I appreciate her I guess taking the time and doing what she's doing for that, because she owns a lot of the land, and then also like The Rock has his heritage or his
family
ties. So I support that. I like that. I like seeing those kind of things with our celebrities or things like that. I appreciate that, but I do also kind of agree in your aspect. I think that what you kind of just suggested is a great idea, because not only are you bringing awareness to the light, or shedding some light on this organization or whatnot, they're already established, so you don't got to worry about that and things like that. And also, I feel like since they're local, there's so many already.
Definitely.
They know exactly like what
to do.
Yeah, what we kind of need. I feel like maybe they did that so that they can kind of control where they're going to be the ones dispersing however which way, which I think they're giving like a allowance or something a month. So I think maybe that's what drove them to do that, because the control of knowing exactly where it goes in what they want to do, what they want to accomplish. But I think that like because we have so many different organizations and they either are doing the same thing or they're based solely for supplies or whatever we need. I think it just would have been a lot more help, or just like the awareness aspect of
Would have been
that.
helpful.
Awareness, and then also like once you're like backing or supporting something and you're very reputable, which these two are, that
It brings more eyes to that organization.
for sure.
Yeah.
And even in the future, so say like let's just say like Hawaii
Very true. Yeah. I get what
Community
you're saying.
Foundation. In the future, it builds the
Reputation
yeah
for that organization that may be actually like really doing something already, that they've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
Before the fires happen. So
yeah, because like that's the whole thing. I feel like with as far as people's trust with anything, I guess everybody kind of goes off of reputation, but like a lot of people were hesitant to even do things with FEMA and to
Right.
do things with Red Cross, and it all goes back to the reputation on things, I guess. Not to say like everything helps, everyone helps, but
yeah.
I feel like if these people are already, or these entities are already established, then it'll save them time and headache, and everything's already there. The platform, the foundation is already there. So it would have just been
A lot easier to
and a double win, I
Yeah.
guess. But I mean, nonetheless, I'm happy to see. I'm happy to see like that people are bringing Hawaii or putting Hawaii on the forefront
awareness.
of
Yeah.
So I guess
What do you think about so speaking on like FEMA and Red Cross, what is since you've been on ground zero, what's the government support like in Lahaina right now?
in Lahaina,
Is it really good? Because there's been questions. People are thinking, oh, is there even a lot of support, or is it barely any support?
So, I haven't been to Lahaina. So I was actually supposed to go on Friday,
Okay.
but I haven't been to Lahaina. I want to say for like a couple weeks now. I want to say like 2 weeks or so. But like in the beginning, when the whole time that I was there, I felt like people, you could tell that people weren't trusting the government agencies. And there was a lot of things that was coming up. Like FEMA would help rebuild your home. You just have to sign these papers. But in the fine lines, if FEMA deems your land unfit or like unlivable because like all of these chemicals spilt there or like batteries
interesting.
burnt, then they can reclaim your land.
Oh.
So like all of those small things was why people were starting to distrust those organizations. When I was there, I saw the government present. I saw that they were helping. However, it was like more like conditional. So like they were helping a lot with the shelters, but outside of the shelters, it was like specifically like these cases of water is only for like these individuals. Like if you stayed at a shelter, you couldn't take supplies out of like, so if even because there was also families affected in Kula. Now nothing really burned in Kula as far as like structures and things. I think like a few homes did, but like nothing on the scale of Lahaina. And so when people were there, the water was contaminated, so they didn't have water. And then their electricity was out. So when some people would come down to the shelters because they needed water, they couldn't buy water in Costco because it was all bought out and going to the shelters. So whenever they were trying to get water, they couldn't take it back to their home. So you could use the facilities and everything there, but you had to stay there. And a lot of them didn't want to, like, even though they didn't have water and electric, they would just go home. I think I would probably do that too. Like if my home just never had water and electric, I think I'd still choose to go home than sleep at the gym.
Yeah.
Like, it's not to say that it's still a place, but I think that they were thinking of others that really needed the space. And then they also like your personal belongings and things like that is all. So, that was one thing I did notice. So they were helping, but only like conditional, like
Interesting.
by certain rules. And then now I'm not too sure, but when I was in Lahaina, there was a lot of authorities present. They had the military police, they had local police, they had a lot of I guess authority there. Which is understandable because they were still like, and I think even now they're still processing through everything, still looking for things. But because of that, a lot of the stuff that was being trucked in or coming in and things like that were the locals. It could even be local businesses and things like that, but a lot of people are doing their own convoys. My friend has a boat, so we were one of the few people that were going by boat. And then one day when I was up there, we offloaded a yacht that came from Oahu.
Wow.
And the day prior to that, I was unloading a container up Kula with supplies, but my friends, they went and did another run and they unloaded 2 like barges from Oahu, like the Matson kind of barge. They unloaded those, and a lot of people were wondering. A question that came up was, why are you still doing boat runs when at that time they just opened Lahaina roads? Because the first week and a half, I want to say 2 weeks almost, they closed the roads so nobody could get in, and that was a huge issue because that was when people didn't have water, didn't have anything. And so a lot of times we were doing the boat runs, but then they opened the roads again. And so they're like, oh, why are you guys still doing boat runs if the roads are open? And they were saying because, and I was there too when it kind of happened, but the restrictions in the dock, I guess, like to ship things over, they started to have more guidelines, and I think it was just because of the capacity or the volume that the docks were receiving in Kahului. So you had to, if I were to ship something there, I would have to have a specific named receiver, and then I think you needed the full manifest of everything that you had, and like all this other kind of documents that normally you never had to do. And so because
makes it very difficult.
Yeah. But it was because people were bringing things that were against their guidelines, I guess. So like we couldn't ship, I think, anything flammable. So like gas, oil, propane tanks. You couldn't ship generators and things like that. And so for those restrictions, because of that, people were just boating things over from outer islands because they didn't want to deal with all that stuff. So they loaded up their boats and then came to Lahaina, and we had to help offload because my friend's boat is a small boat, so he can kind of pull up to the shore.
Right.
Those ones had to stay in the deep, so we were like a shuttle support boat, I guess. But yeah, like I was, even those kind of moments, I'm grateful for all of that. I'm grateful to kind of just be a part of something bigger to try and help families and all of that stuff. Like that's very self-fulfilling for me, I think. Yeah. But yeah.
So as a travel influencer, right? I know right now they're planning on opening Maui, at least maybe Lahaina side, October 7th, right? I think that's one of their planned days to open it up for the public use.
Yeah.
Do you think that's too early for people to start traveling to that side? Because I imagine that side's gonna be very, people are gonna kind of take it as and I think it's wrong that they're gonna take it as um a landmark for them to document.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because a lot of people they're just gonna be taking pictures of people's homes that people lost or even businesses that they lost. So,
Hmm.
I think it's too early for that to happen for people to go there.
I think I mean it's really touchy and it's really sad to say. I think emotions are still high.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be high for a while. I think exactly what you said. It's going to be a circus because when I was there, it was already a circus. I mean, granted, it was less than a month,
Yeah.
but it's just seeing that. I think that if they're going to kind of announce that, like it's that on a bigger scale of
Right.
what I experienced. Just from I want to say like it was like the second week or so I went to Lahaina and a lot of people, and I understand that's the hot topic. That's what everybody like wants to know what's happening, what it looks like and things. But just going there and seeing a lot of local people that are on the island or even people outer island such as myself. I recorded some things, but not I barely did because it was too heavy for me. But to see that with in that short amount of time with how many people were already like that, to announce it like I guess nationally, on a bigger scale, like that's why I think it's just going to be a circus because and again like the emotions are high, but because like everybody's going to want to see the aftermaths and things like that. Everybody it's human nature to be curious, I feel, but I feel like we all have to have respect for the families and community that they lost. And it's sad to say that our economy runs on tourism. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword because you need tourism, especially like, I guess, because of this happening, because of all this that's been happening, we need to generate revenue. But at the same time, like, I feel like Lahaina town itself was the tourist attraction. And now that it's not there, there's not much on that side to like sustain like anybody wanting to come to do anything aside from seeing what's been happening. I mean, they still have beautiful beaches and things like that, but there's nothing to do except go to the beach. And if you're going to go to the beach, like we have that all over the state. So me personally, I think that we should focus on I don't think Maui should be closed. I think that Lahaina just needs more time to heal than October 7th. But I think that maybe they should focus their resources or advertisement or marketing like to other parts of the island. If they're focused on generating revenue for Maui specifically, like bringing stuff for Maui, they should look at the local businesses there. And I've actually talked to 808 Rise is the nonprofit organization, but we're talking about trying to do something in regards to keeping the local businesses there, focusing on something for them, because I feel like everything that's been happening broke the morale and the spirits of the community. Of the business owners as well as people. That's why a lot of people are thinking about moving, like instead of just rebuilding and things like that, like a lot of their spirits are down because like their generational home is gone, and some people don't even want to build it back up. Like they just think it's easier to leave. And a lot of the community members, a lot of them that the big people in their community, I guess, are really trying to not or make them stay, because they don't want like to build back up their town and things like that, and everybody's basically gone. which makes sense. And now more people, now that the town's kind of bounced back, now it's being filled with people, like everybody else left, and now everybody's like kind of newer, and they don't really want to do that. They want to stay strong. And so it's just hard. Like I feel for them. But me personally, I think that October 7th is too early for Lahaina, but I think they should focus their resources on other places in Maui. There's Kihei, Kula, Kahului, like so many other things I guess you could do in Maui, but Lahaina was a big tourist. It's like
attraction,
it's like Ko'olina.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So for now, as a travel influencer, what are some places, I guess, outside of Maui would you say people should at least visit now? In the meantime. Yeah.
So, like, are you talking about other islands?
You can go other islands, maybe places that you've seen that maybe don't get enough. I don't know. Actually, maybe, I don't know if you should give them more attention, but at least maybe places that you would want to highlight.
So I can do some locally on Maui, and then I can do some off
can do here or whatever.
Guess. Yeah.
Kauai,
So my favorite island, I'm going to go outer island first. My favorite island, I have to say, like, hands down, but this is just me. Everybody's personality is different. My favorite island is Kauai. So I think that that is a great alternative to go to. But with Kauai, there's not much to do as far as nightlife. If you go there, it's mainly they do have like the boat attractions that everybody's very like, that's what everybody does. They look at Napili Coast on the boat, and then they do helicopter rides. But aside from that, like, there's beautiful beaches that are secluded, that are unpopulated. Like, you can pull over anywhere and there's nobody there, and it's a beautiful beach.
Really?
You can't do that on Oahu. So
that's true.
So if you're looking more for like just a relaxing, like what you envision Hawaii to look like, I guess that would either be, I feel like, Big Island or Kauai. Big Island is also beautiful. They have a lot of beautiful beaches, but then it's also rocky. But like, if you're looking for that too, it's all based on your preference, what you want to do. But I would recommend going to those islands. And if you like nightlife and stuff like that, then of course Oahu is the big one. But as far as like highlighting places, I would say going to Hanalei. Hanalei is beautiful. There's a lot of sightseeing to be done there, but then I also feel like it does give that Lahaina feel, that North Shore vibe that we get from Lahaina, from Haleiwa. You can find that in Hanalei. And then even Kona, you can, that also gives a Lahaina vibe. But
that's what I hear too.
Yeah. So they have like Ali'i Drive. That's their like front street, I guess, or like Waikiki. and it's kind of like that, just like a smaller scale, but
really?
Kind of like that.
Okay, I didn't know that.
But then if you're on Maui, or if you're like really set on going to Maui, I would visit. For me, I like nature, so I would recommend Hana. But Hana's very far, and Hana is very rural.
Oh, okay.
So it's countryside. But there is like up country, they have like a lavender farm. So there's there's that. And then with that, like, I think they have like some food vendors and a beautiful view. So like there's some activities to do up country. Kihei also has a lot of like food trucks and a lot of vendors. I think they kind of have a nightlife for Maui. Kind of.
Yeah.
Like they have some like bars, I think, for the younger crowd.
Okay.
And then they also have like Iao Nido.
Younger.
Yeah. We're still in there, I guess.
Yeah.
But they have Iao Nido that's on Maui, and that's a great, it's kind of like a park. Like You know, like, what is Ho'omaluhia? Like, it's kind of like that.
Oh, okay. Like a botanical garden, kind of,
Kind
or
of.
just like a place to hang out,
Yeah.
sort of. Yeah,
Yeah.
like a gathering place, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, they have like a pond that you can swim in, and then they have pavilions.
Oh,
So people
cool.
have like barbecues there because they have at the pavilions they have grills.
Wow.
So
Oh, okay. Cool.
so there are a lot of other things to do on Maui, as well as Hawaii to come and visit. But that's why, as far as Lahaina, I think that like Lahaina still has a lot to. There's not much in Lahaina. I mean, so there's Ka'anapali, and that's right after Lahaina, and that's where all the hotels are, the major hotels. And luckily, like nothing has been damaged from there. So they have like golf courses. They have.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's very well maintained. I guess. So if you were to come and visit, like most likely you'd be staying in Ka'anapali. But everybody comes to Lahaina for or like the west side to go to Front Street, to go to Lahaina town. And because it's not there, I feel like there's like not really a purpose for it anymore. They have some luau's, I guess, in the hotels, like the Sheraton. I used to dance for Royal Lahaina Luau. That's in one of the resorts. Yeah. And so like they do have some luau's, I guess, but a lot of them were in the town. So I just think that there's not as much, like, unless you're just really curious about, you know, what the town looks like, there's nothing really, I don't know, going on over there. And so like I don't want people to also like not ruin their vacation, but like if you thought that it was you're gonna have like, you know, like all of these activities and all these things to do, like not in Lahaina anymore for now. Like you can still do all those great activities, but it would probably have to be on another island. Like they used to have, because they were a whalers village, so they used to have a lot of like boat tours and things like that. Now they don't have any of that. So I think like we have that like on Oahu. Well, we have like, you know, like the catamarans. Yeah. So you can
I don't
still
know about those.
I know, yeah. So you can still find other activities, but I just don't think you'll find it in Lahaina or on the west side of Maui now. But yeah, that's my take, I guess, on that.
Yeah. And what would you say? So what would be one of your top places to visit? Let's say outside of Hawaii, or even outside of the U.S., maybe another country.
Okay, so I don't have my passport, but I do have a list of places.
Okay, maybe say top three. What's your
top three? Top three. I want to go to Bali or Indonesia.
Oh wow. Okay. Is that number one or is that number three? Let's say.
I want to say that's probably my second choice.
Okay.
My first choice, I want to go to. Okay, maybe that's my third choice. My first choice, I want to go to Greece.
Wow. Okay.
So I want to do like Europe. So I want to go to Greece and Italy and Bali.
Oh,
those are my
nice.
3 outer international locations. But my brother's trying to convince me to go to Japan. Have you gone?
No, not yet. My wife has.
Oh.
She's been to Japan. We're setting up to go to Japan 2025 at least.
Oh, nice.
But, I gotta get my passport again. I have a passport.
Oh,
But
it just
it's expired. Yeah.
Did you go anywhere?
No.
No.
So I was supposed to go to Canada.
You know, so the way the book works is you try to put as many stamps in there.
I know. But when I was in high school, right? So I went to go college visits to do college visits for like in Washington, because I wanted to go to Washington State, or University of Washington is specifically where I wanted to go. And we were supposed to go to Canada, and we didn't go to Canada. We were like this close.
Why not?
Away from Canada? I don't know. I asked my mom, why did we go to Canada? She said, we didn't fit in the schedule. I said, why didn't we fit it in? We got the passport for no reason.
You made it all the way there.
Yeah.
You're 95% there.
Literally. I will say getting a passport has helped me with like a lot of just document stuff like that. Like just I don't have to provide my driver's license and my social
All that
security card and all
stuff,
this stuff.
yeah.
I just give them my passport and that's
It takes care of all of that. Yeah.
But I want to get a passport because I want to go to these other countries.
Yeah.
But then I have a blank, like I have a passport, but it's like blank. Like I never
Yeah.
went to any other country.
So now, the next one, now you gotta fill it with everything.
Now I gotta fill it up.
Yeah. So I want to go. Another place that I really, really, really want to go to too is Tahiti, though.
Oh, okay.
So like those are like the 4 big ones for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
But
Tahiti's number 4, I guess.
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
No, it's number 3. It's actually number 3.
Well, no, because I really want to go to Bali.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. So that was actually my dream, I guess,
Oh,
or
okay.
whatever. Especially like so. If we had all the money in the world and we never had to work a 9 to 5 or never had to do anything else, which people are living their dream.
Mm-hmm.
I love that for you. I would want to do that, just basically travel. But the way, our bank accounts work, like it don't work that way. But yeah, like I would love to. Some people are afraid to leave Hawaii, which is wow. And then some people are afraid to leave our country, which totally makes understandable because it's all different, in different places. But I feel like the little adventurer in me is like, I could never, like, you give me something that unlocks the whole world. Why are we still here?
Yeah.
Like that thing, basically, you can go anywhere your heart desires.
So true, yeah.
So you might as well go. I mean, yeah, it could be very sketchy and things like that, but like
We have a lifetime of things to do, and there's
so much.
There's places outside of here that
Just use the buddy system and crosswalks.
right, or even going on country. There's like tours that you can use those tours, and they have armed guards to like get you through certain places. you know?
Or they don't take you to like very sketchy places. I feel like if you do like group tours, like it's very safe, and so it's still a nice way to kind of digest or receive the country if you're going out of country and things like that. But yeah, like I feel like that's my little advice, my little traveling advice is to just go. No reason to stay is a good reason to go. But yeah.
So before we end off, what is something you want to do with your platform now, especially like because you want to do maybe more travel, maybe food, maybe. But like, what else would you want to do with it?
So
And mental health, of course, as well.
I guess my goal or my vision of my platform is what I want to do is travel a lot more, is showcase the culture, the food, the architect of places. That's what I want to do. But my meaning or my purpose is still bringing awareness to things. I just want to utilize like my passion of traveling. I love like learning. I just love learning. So I'm very passionate about learning different cultures and experiencing different traditions and food and everything. Just all of that. And if I can use something, even if it's like a place where people go for healing, granted, like with the same respect, like, I want to be respectful to places, even locally, but to see places that can correlate to my message and then utilize that as well. Like that's what I want to do. I want my
I like that
platform to be like a safe place to talk about, like if anybody needs to talk, but then also like just a resource, even if you don't have to interact, but just have me like be on your feed for that little like affirmation or a little thing that brings positivities to people's lives, but still stressing I guess mainly just trauma, like domestic abuse, depression, mental health, even like the way that me and my brother were brought up was very non-traditional, I guess. Like, it was traditional with my grandmother. My grandmother raised us very, like, we had to go to etiquette school and all those things. But, like, as far as our parents, our biological parents, it's very common. Our parents were, I love them, but they were druggies and all those things. And so I want to just be relatable, and also just use my past traumas for like something good. And that's what I want my platform to always remain as. But if I can like travel and find other ways that people coped with things, or if they had like I don't know if I wouldn't really film or get content of like temples and stuff like that. But you know, like how when if I went somewhere and they were talking to me about like this is a place where people would go, I don't know, for when they were in hiding or something like that, even just sharing that knowledge and then like allowing me to talk about it later when I'm like decompressing or unpacking and things, like all of that still I feel like falls under my passion of traveling and my message that I want to give out, I guess.
No, I like that because you can also give your take on like like especially if it holds a lot of history, you can, and then maybe if it was like something during like the Holocaust or something, and then you feel you can feel like certain things about the people, the survivors of of those families that are part of that history, and you can talk about it as well. So
exactly, I feel like all the trauma, like those things are just like I guess staples in our history that's happened, and it's devastating. But I feel like people still had to cope with that, and so if you can always or use that as a reference and just kind of relate it to now times now, I guess. I guess that's what I'm trying to do, just bridge my passion with the awareness that I'm trying to spread. I'm also trying to just I guess be bigger than what I don't know how to say it. Like eventually, I guess this is just like my goal in general. Social media is just a tool, but in general, I want to kind of run I don't know if it's like an organization or maybe like come off of branch off from an organization or what, but like I do want to be a spearhead or like a leadership role in those kind of like domestic abuse or things like that, like just awareness for whenever we have big concerts and things like that, and you have speakers and whatnot. Like I would want to be, that's what I would envision myself in like my highest form. I guess like would just want
cool.
to
I like that.
To do that. I know like a lot of people survive traumatic events, and so I would want to do that for myself, I guess. That's what I would want to work towards. And again, it just goes under providing support, but also like being positive, giving positive advice or efforts or anything like that, showing positivity from like our what our daily lives is like, I guess.
Yeah, giving someone a different thing, I guess they can see on media and stuff like that, and a different
because I mean,
a different take.
I think it's great. Like honestly, I think it's great that people on social media are following their passions and are like, I don't know, chasing their dreams and things. But when I look at things, not to take away from their dreams, but in the way that I process, I just want more. My dream, and I'm not taking away from anybody's dreams, but my dreams and aspiration is to be more than just like
surface level.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for like putting that in like the best way possible. because just bigger than the surface level of that. Like not taking it away from anybody, but like I could do I don't know.
a deeper influence on something.
Yes. Yes.
On
And
topics and I totally
that's-
understand what you're saying.
and that's what I want to do. But like, I also want to kind of spark that drive for somebody else as well, like the younger generation, to strive for bigger, to look past the I feel like nowadays, especially with social media blowing up, it's just everything is like fast, what immediate gratification.
Fast media, I would say.
Yeah. And it's great, it works, it does its job and things like that. But I think if like everybody has like more of a deeper connection, then there's like we could do so much. We could do so much with everything. We could move mountains. We could, because everybody is striving to dig deeper than just being surface level, I guess. Nothing wrong with surface level, but
Right. Totally understand.
Yeah. But
Well,
thank you.
Amber, thank you for joining me on the podcast, and thank you for sharing your heart and sharing your experiences with all of us. Where can people find you on social media, and then maybe if you want to shout out any organizations or anybody you want to shout out?
So you can find me on Instagram. I'm mainly on Instagram at _ambam with 2 A's. So that's _AAM as in Mary, BAM. So aside from that, I do a lot of work with 808 Viral. So they're also a great tool to utilize. I think they're on TikTok, all the streaming platforms. But they do have like all sorts of information as far as like what's happening now, like, news that just happened, current, as well as different resources for different things with Maui, with like all this kind of trauma support, I guess, and things like that. So I would reference 808 Viral.
Shout outs to Danny and her team.
They do a lot, and they see like everything that comes in.
They do.
So they got to sift through like so much. So shout out to them. But so mainly on social media. If you guys need someone to talk to or anything like that, just DM me. Thank you for letting me come on your podcast. I've been bugging him for months, not gonna lie.
Well, I was in the editing mode, so we got a lot of editing out, and now we were able to record. And I think a lot of the recordings, they came at good timings to like for people to talk about stuff. So but for you, I want to do a little kampai, a little cheers for you. So I don't know. Did you drink all your stuff?
No, I did not.
I drank all of this one.
I was such a chatterbox. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Amber, this is to you. Thank you for all you do in Maui, and thank you for your heart for people. I'm sure there's people out there that are listening that can totally empathize with what you're saying, and they're probably going to reach out to you after this. They're going to go like, dang, I got to reach out to Amber. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going through something right now. Thank you for being a resource, for them and to them. And this is to your future success and to your future travels.
Ooh, thanks.
Kampai.
Kampai.